target language, in this case from English language, back to its source language. It's reverse translation. So what's its use? If it's the back translation is extremely useful in ensuring that the proper meaning of the text has been conveyed. This method, if we translate what has already been translated to the target language, if we translate back into the source language, the difference or the redundancy, the unnecessary expressions could invariably avoided. All the extraneous details, errors, grammatical structures, these could be removed, and that may help improve the quality and keeping the meaning or the contextual meaning intact. So what are the features of translations? There are different types of features, many features of to be followed. Among them, a few I have enumerated a few of them. There is accuracy, precision, clarity, fluency, readability, localization, cultural sensitivity, that's most important, and context preservation. Localization. These, I think, are the most important ones. So, as far accuracy and precision is concerned, accuracy consists in being faithful to the original content, conveying its intended meaning correctly. One should be faithful, our translator should be faithful, or he should faithfully follow the content, its meaning, without altering or misrepresenting it. There should be no misrepresentation. The meaning, what is read in the original source language, should be the same in the target language. So precision, on the other hand, is the quality of being exact. Exactness to be there. But it is possible to be precise, but not very accurate. And it is possible to be accurate without being precise. So these both aspects are important. Then fluency. As a fluency, most of you know, the ability to express oneself easily and articulately. But this is not, it is the limited meaning of fluency. In translation, a translator is considered fluent only when it relates to the cultural specifications of the target language. That is, if the translator has both translated and domesticated the text. In the target language, the reader of the target language should feel quite at home when he reads the translated version. He should not feel that it is a translated version. So localization also contributes to this feeling. While translating is simply about converting written words from one language to another, localization is a step further. Looking at the culture and the related nuances in language as it relates to the culture. So, culture about food and clothing, for example, if we use in our local literature, we may use the currency word rupiah. But while translating in some other language, this rupiah won't be understood by them. So, according to what currency is used in that language, if you use that exact word, will make them sense. So, then the next point is that is most important is, now the question arises, can poetry be successfully translated? That's the most difficult task, as I already told you. It is often compared with painting. Painting is silent poetry, and poetry is painting that speaks, says Plutarch. It's equivalent, it's evident. So painting is silent poetry, and poetry is painting that speaks. So from this statement, it's evident that poetry, like painting, is an artistic form of expression. However, one is written while the other is visual. So, when translating a poem, literally translators have two options. They either translate the word for accuracy, thus losing much of the beauty of the language. And they can translate the poem for beauty, losing much of the accuracy. So it is equally important to strike a balance between accuracy and beauty. So these aesthetic aspects and accuracy should be maintained properly. And literal translation, as for literal translation is a word for word translation, as I already told you. While another aspect is metrical translation. Poetry is usually written in meter and foot. Metrical poetry is poetry that has meter. So there are 6 meters, 6 foot, 6 feet, I think. The most important is I am in English. What is called in Marathi, I don't know. But it's I am, touching, spirit, dactyl, anapest, etc. So it's metrical in form. It has a recognizable pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. For example, a poem in iambic pentameter would have 5 sets of syllables, with one unstressed, with an unstressed one followed by the stressed one. So metrical translation emphasizes the reproduction of the original meter into the target language, but it's a difficult task. We cannot imitate the metrical form in exactly the same way. However, this type of translation resulting in appropriate translation in terms of meaning and structure, because each language has its own specific stressing and pronunciation system. So, while translating, these aspects should be followed. Rhyme translation, rhyming cannot be translated. That's the most difficult one. Now, procedures of translation. Now there are 7 procedures. And if we take these procedures into account, that can guide us what a translation should be or what should be done while translating a poem. The first one is, according to Jean-Paul Vinay and Jean Durbelnet, there are 7 procedures of translation to attain equivalence. These are borrowing, transposition, modulation, equivalence, calque, literal translation, and adaptation. So, on the basis of these points, I have offered my criticism. I have written my criticism. So, first one is borrowing. Borrowing is adopting the same words as they are used in the source language, without making any change, or without translating them, or without its equivalent. The words are taken directly over from the source language and used as they are in the target language. So this type of borrowing, this type of thing is called borrowing. So this technique is useful when the target language has no equivalent. The words related to food habits, clothing, and culture. For example, chocolate. Chocolate cannot be translated. Chocolate is chocolate in Marathi and English as well. Most of the words related to clothes, dhoti, sari. But if the equivalent words are available, the translator should best, he had better avoid such words, which is making such unnecessary borrowing. Then there is transposition. This is the process where parts of speech change their sequence. As is, there is the striking difference between our local languages and